A tragedy south of the border as Americans are caught in the middle of gun cartel violence. Kareem has more.
And are the Chargers moving again? Find out in sports.
A famous TV neighborhood is celebrating a landmark anniversary. Find out where you can watch in entertainment.
Snow in the East Coast and sun in the West. We'll have more on these conditions in weather. Newscene starts right now.
Welcome to this week's edition of Newscene. I'm Ayo Elise.
And I'm Yakira Delgadillo.
Starting with national news tonight, the federal government could be headed for another shutdown before Thanksgiving. Congress has until November 21st to strike a budget deal with the president. That deal could include 12 bills that fund federal agencies. It is possible the president will buy lawmakers more time by signing another short-term spending bill, but some in Congress say they are not comfortable with that solution.
And still in Washington, the House is starting a public hearing into the impeachment inquiry as soon as next week. It will start with the former ambassador of Ukraine, William Taylor, and Deputy Assistant Secretary of the State, George Kent, on November 13th. House Intelligence Committee Chairman Adam Schiff says after the hearing he will report any issues and pass them on to the House Judiciary Committee.
In Washington, a top U.S. official in the Ukraine is a key witness in the Trump impeachment inquiry. House Democrats released a transcript from William Taylor describing a nightmare foreign policy to find dirt on Joe Biden. The testimony is evidence of quid pro quo by Trump. This includes freezing roughly $400 million in military aid to Ukraine.
This week's elections continue to make history across the nation. Kentucky's first black attorney general to Virginia's first transgender lawmaker. The election is making progressive strides. Tucson, Arizona elected its first Latina mayor, and a Virginia Democrat who lost the House in 2017 beat out a GOP incumbent. Julie Brixman, a cyclist who lost her job in 2017 for flipping off the president's motorcade, has made a comeback by winning a seat in local office in Virginia.
The Trump administration is formally withdrawing from the Paris Climate Accord. It follows President Trump's announcement of the U.S. pullout in 2017. The multinational agreement to reduce emissions that contribute to global warming is headed by the United Nations. Even with the U.S. out, hundreds of American local governments and businesses have pledged to continue emissions reductions.
California is investigating Facebook over the company's privacy policies. In a court filing earlier this week, Attorney General Javier Becerra is claiming the social media giant has misinterpreted its privacy practices. Facebook responded in a statement saying it has cooperated extensively with the investigation.
The DMV has made a mistake that left thousands of California drivers' Social Security numbers exposed. The DMV gave unauthorized access of Social Security numbers to agencies such as the IRS and the District Attorney's Office. The breach has implications for immigrants with licenses but without Social Security numbers and those under criminal investigation.
And now to the ongoing immigration debate. A major hotel chain is opposing the detention of immigrants in its hotel rooms. Customers and activists are protesting the detainment conditions at Choice Hotels. An immigration attorney says at least 17 youth migrants were temporarily held in hotels in August and September. ICE officials say hotels were used for short-term detention for family units.
And here is Kareem with the latest on the Americans slain in Mexico.
Thanks, Ayo and Yakira. We start tonight with tragic news out of northern Mexico, where 9 Americans have been killed and more than a dozen injured in a suspected drug cartel attack. The victims were mothers traveling with their children, some as young as 8 months. The group was part of the LeBaron family, a group of American Mormons living in Mexico just 70 miles from Douglas, Arizona. The family members were driving in a 3-vehicle caravan for safety when they came under heavy fire by gunmen. The attackers were armed with machine guns, and over 200 spent bullet casings were found at the scene. 5 of the surviving children were rushed to Tucson area hospitals, with 3 of them reportedly having very serious injuries. After the attack, a brave 13-year-old boy gathered several injured children and hid them nearby. He then walked 14 miles to get help.
The 13-year-old boy was able to reach the community after being lost, is what everybody was saying, for several hours. He is the one that did not receive any wounds, any bullet shots. And he reached the community at night last night, and he let everybody know where the other 5 children were. All 5 of them were injured. All 5 of them were hiding in the bushes. And once the Mexican government arrived on the scene, the family was able to, once the Mexican government arrived, the cartels stopped shooting. They stopped attacking each other. So that is when they were able to locate the children. U.S.
President Donald Trump has offered assistance to the Mexican president, pledging support from the U.S. military to wage war on the drug cartels. Senator Lindsey Graham has said he would rather go to Syria than parts of Mexico, as lawlessness escalates between the powerful drug cartels. The Mexican government has been unable to contain the violence that has led to the deaths of 250,000 people since 2006. The family has been living in the area for generations and has had run-ins with the drug cartels before. 10 years ago, Eric LeBaron was kidnapped by the cartels looking for a multi-million-dollar ransom. Eric and his brother-in-law were murdered after the family refused to pay. Despite earlier reports, the Mexican government does not have any suspects in custody. Dozens of U.S. relatives of the slain family gathered yesterday to drive 3 hours to attend the funerals in La Mora. They drove in a caravan under the protection of heavily armed Mexican soldiers. The first victims to be laid to rest were carried in handmade coffins, tailored to fit 2-year-old Rogan and 11-year-old Trevor. Their mother, Donna, was buried with them. Outside the funeral, a heavy police presence provided protection while mourners tried to make sense of the attack. Another funeral is scheduled for today in neighboring Chihuahua. We'll continue to monitor the story. Back to you, Ayo and Yakira.
Thank you, Kareem, for that story. And now we're going to be switching gears to find out what athletes are making headlines again.
And San Diego's film scene celebrates culture and community this week. Find out coming up.
Thank you. You got a king?
Go fish! In your face, in your face,
It only takes a moment to make a moment. Take time to be a dad today.
And now, ABC is under fire for refusing to run a story of a victim of now deceased sex offender Jeffrey Epstein. News anchor Amy Robach was captured on a hot mic saying higher-ups at ABC wouldn't let her report on Epstein, his ties to the Clintons, and Prince Andrew. Robach says the video of her is authentic, but denies claims of unethical journalism by her employer, ABC.
In Oklahoma, the state's parole board has made a historical move by releasing the largest number of inmates in history. More than 400 nonviolent prisoners were released this week due to new laws passed in 2016. The law minimized drug felonies and low-level crimes into misdemeanors and reduces the mandatory penalties. Oklahoma voters approved the move in 2016.
Now for the latest in health news. A new strain of HIV has been discovered, a first in 19 years. The discovery was made thanks to DNA sequencing technology. Scientists are calling this one subtype L. This is a subtype of the currently existing group of HIV viruses, but it can be treated through current testing methods and treated with drugs already on the market.
San Diego employers are offering cheaper solutions for healthcare, but they will require employees to cross the border. Multiple San Diego hotels, restaurants, and casinos are offering a HMO plan called SIMSNA, which requires a routine medical visit and prescriptions to be received in Mexico. The plan, approved only for Mexican nationals, allows emergency and urgent care services within the U.S.
The San Diego Unified School District is taking action against vaping. The district is considering joining a lawsuit with Los Angeles Unified against e-cigarette startup Juul. San Diego Unified has been addressing the rise of vaping with counseling and is developing a curriculum to educate students. Now, according to a statement, the district wants to focus on educating students about the dangers of vaping.
California state regulators are cracking down on California cannabis industry. Almost 400 dispensary licenses were suspended for failing to complete mandatory training, including 9 from San Diego. The businesses did not enroll in the state's track and trace system, which monitors distribution amounts to keep it off the streets.
And in local news on homelessness, the city of San Diego has opened a new homeless shelter in the East Village just in time for winter. Alpha Project currently operates the city's largest bridge shelter. It will run the new 150-bed facility on the corner of 17th Street and Imperial Avenue. The shelter will work to help homeless residents transition into permanent housing.
So are the Chargers really moving? Vicky Pineda, tell us more.
Thanks, Shakira and Alio. The Chargers have had a rough week this week. First, they traveled one last time to the Oakland Coliseum for Thursday Night Football, only to drop the game in a disappointing fashion, 26-24. And then earlier in the week, a rumor surfaced claiming the Chargers might be moving again. The sports news website The Athletic published a story saying the NFL has discussed the possibility of moving the team to London. Less than 24 hours after the story broke, Chargers owner Dean Spanos aggressively denied it, saying they were not going anywhere. He made it clear in a rant that the team will be playing in Los Angeles, calling the city its home. Now to baseball and the latest on free agency. Days after Washington Nationals won their first World Series game, MVP Steven Strasburg is making headlines again. The San Diego native and SDSU alum is opting out of his contract with the Nationals and will be testing out free agency. Strasburg had 4 years remaining in the contract he signed with the Nationals in 2016. You can bet the Nationals will try and re-sign Strasburg as well as third baseman Anthony Rendon. We'll have to just wait and see what they both decide. And one athlete who is certain about her future is Lindsey Vonn. The world champion downhill skier is giving her fans an inside look at the final days of her professional career in a new documentary. HBO has released the first trailer for Lindsey Vonn, The Final Season. The film shows a skier battling injuries while competing to place at a world championship in Sweden earlier this year. The documentary premieres on HBO on November 26. And closer to home, the San Diego City College men's basketball team is hosting its first game today against Orange Coast College. The Knights kicked off their season earlier by traveling to San Francisco for a weekend tourney. They faced off with Yuba and San Francisco College and lost both. But the Knights did turn it around, winning their first game against Santa Rosa Junior College. And in other sports on campus, the men's soccer team has turned its season around and now sits in second place in the conference standings. The Knights have won their last 3 games and are now 6-2-1. And in cross country, both the City College men and women placed third in the conference meet and qualified for regionals. We'll report back with the results from that meet soon. That's all I have for sports. Back to you at the desk.
Now, what would you buy if a multimillionaire had a yard sale? We'll have more about those items that are up for grabs in entertainment.
And a Pulitzer Prize-winning reporter from the New York Times spoke at the museum last night. Find out more after the break.
Sounds fun. Really interesting anyway.
Work party is a +1. You want to go? This is my boss, Ella.
Nice to meet you, Greg.
You're welcome. Nope, I'm high. But I'll clean the kitchen while you're gone.
You're already making good decisions when you're high.
Pool party at Jesse's. Can you drive? I'm toasted.
Nope, I'm high. But I can order us a ride.
Don't make an exception when it comes to driving. If you feel different, you drive different.
Now over to India, where new levels of hazardous pollution in New Delhi have been off the charts this week. Officials blame low winds combined with continuous smoke from burning fires, traffic exhaust, construction dust, and factory emissions. The polluted air was so thick that a public health emergency has been called.
Now to Japan, where the work week may be getting shorter. A pilot program by Microsoft Japan is testing out a 4-day work week and has interesting results. Productivity increased by 40%, and the company reported a decrease on usage of resources. The program was designed to prevent death from overwork stress. A second trial is expected this winter.
And now onto other news. A teenager in Thailand has died, and authorities are blaming his gaming addiction. The 17-year-old boy was found dead by his father, an Air Force officer, who tried to wake him up after his all-night gaming binge. Medics who responded say he died from a stroke. The boy's father hopes his son's story can prevent this from happening to other families.
Now, for a move that will impact the mobile phone industry, the FCC has approved a merger between Sprint and T-Mobile. Republicans say the merger will help the U.S. quickly gain 5G technology and help rural communities. But Democrats claim it could lead consumers to pay more and reduce competition. A lawsuit from several states preventing the merger is pending.
A Pulitzer Prize-winning reporter from the New York Times was in San Diego sharing stories and tips on investigative journalism. Suzanne Craig spoke at the Museum of Photographic Arts last night. She focused on what it takes to manage an investigational piece, as well as how to write and publish a story while officials are trying to stop your investigation. Her visit marked the 10th anniversary of iNewsSource, the local nonprofit news organization.
The San Diego City College Music Program is hosting a concert this week as the start of a new partnership. The San Diego Symphony String Quartet performed live in the Seville Theater on City College's campus on Wednesday. They performed American classics from Aaron Copland and George Gershwin. Students, faculty, and community members enjoyed the hour-long performance. Student discounts are available for upcoming shows. For more information, go to the sandiegosymphony.org. And milestones, cancellations, closing, and a yard sale. A lot is going out in entertainment. Ayo, can you tell me a little bit more?
Absolutely. So we start with Ellen DeGeneres, who will be recognized for her contributions to the TV industry at next year's Golden Globe Awards. The Cara Burnett Award will be given to the beloved talk show host. In addition to hosting Ellen for 17 years, the actor, comic, and producer is best known for her role as Dory in Finding Nemo and her 90s sitcom Ellen and Roseanne. Ellen will be the second winner of the award, named after comedy legend Burnett. Now, speaking of legendary funny lady Cara Burnett, did you know that she appeared in the very first episode of Sesame Street? Burnett's old buddies, Big Bird and his friends, are celebrating their 50th year on the air this weekend. The groundbreaking children's show began at a time when there was little educational programming for children. The show creators teamed up with educators, psychologists, and celebrated puppeteer Jim Henson to change that. You can watch the 50th anniversary edition of Sesame Street on HBO this Saturday and on PBS on the 17th. Now, while Sesame Street is celebrating its long-run Game of Thrones prequel is over before it even started. Last week, we reported that the House of Dragon prequel, set 300 years before the original series, had started production. However, sources say that HBO was unhappy with the pilot, leading to its cancellation. But there is still hope for fans. HBO has confirmed 10 episodes of the spin-off series based on George R.R. Martin's companion book, Fire and Blood. And now to something else that's over. Zach Posen of Project Runway fame has closed his highly successful fashion label. The House of Z has laid off 60 staff members after failing to find new investors. Posen has designed gowns for many of Hollywood's biggest stars, including Oprah, Rihanna, Gwyneth Paltrow, and Naomi Campbell. Posen says he is looking to regroup, reflect, and find new ways to share his creativity with the world. Beautiful dress. Now, let's see, maybe some of Zach Posen's designs were featured at Chris Brown's yard sale? Yeah, that's right. Singer Chris Brown hosted a yard sale at his home this week in Los Angeles. He posted an invitation to the sale on Instagram, saying it would feature significantly marked down high-end designer items. Reporters say that fans lined up as early as 5 a.m. on the first day, and there was even ice cream available to keep shoppers cool as the day started to heat up. The proceeds from the event will be given to a charity of Chris Brown's choice. Now, moving on to entertainment closer to home, the San Diego Asian Film Festival is happening now until the 17th. This is the 20th anniversary of the festival, produced by Pacific Arts Movement, a nonprofit dedicated to Asian American media. This year's showcase includes a virtual reality film and the first film commissioned by the festival itself that explores the roots of Asian American neighborhoods throughout the county. Make sure you check that out this weekend. Now, if you're curious, you can always check out sdaff.org to find out showings. Sounds cool, right?
Yes, that does. Yeah, that does sound amazing. I mean, 3-day weekend, so maybe we'll get to check out some movies.
Yeah, hopefully.
Now we have more on this 3-day weekend and the weather. We'll have it more after the break.
Yeah, sounds good to me. 3-day weekend.
3-day weekend.
That's what I'm about.
Dad?
Just 1 minute, okay?
Hey, Bobo, do trees tell each other stories?
I'm sorry. I'm afraid I don't know that.
Hey, why don't we go find out? Listen.
Do clouds take naps?
I couldn't tell you.
Can birds draw pictures?
I don't have an answer for that.
Dad, do stars visit their friends?
Look!
The City College Veterans Service Center is celebrating the grand opening of a new facility and honoring campus military veterans. That's nice, right?
This is very nice.
The new office is located in building M100 Inside, students will find a social area, computers, information on referrals, and mentors to help them on their college journey. Now, Monday is Veterans Day. Surprise!
That's awesome. An extra day.
Well, hopefully we have some nice weather over Veterans Day weekend. So, Yukira, what do you think?
Yes, I think we definitely will have good weather, especially here in San Diego. Let's take a look at the first weather map. Here's a little bit of a small rundown of what's going to be happening. So we have a postcard weather here in San Diego. Then some of our warmest temperatures will be Saturday. But the rest of the nation is unfortunately getting a little bit of the colder front of that. Let's take a look at our first map. Our national forecast. So the East Coast, especially in the Great Lakes area, they're definitely getting a lot of snowfall. We see Michigan, Wisconsin. And then moving on to the East Coast, they're also getting more of a colder weather. We see New York, Philadelphia. And as we move down into the southeast, Florida is completely opposite. They're getting more precipitation, a lot more rainfall. And as that rain also moves into the Texas area, the southwest, so we see the rainfall closer to El Paso and then also into Mexico as well. So they're getting that cold weather and cold precipitation, hitting that low point deeper into Mexico, the Gulf Coast. Then as we move on to San Diego and the West Coast, California, we see warmer temperatures, by far completely different than the East Coast. We see San Diego, Chula Vista, the South Bay area in the mid-70s, 74, and then move into where we're here in downtown, 72. And then up north, we see the low 70s, high 60s. We see Del Mar, Encinitas, 68, then Oceanside, 78. And as we move inland, we see Escondido and Poway, the mid-80s. As we move south, 79 to 81, we see El Cajon and Jamul. And as we go into the mountains more deeper into the Imperial Valley, we see Ramona, Julian, Descanso, and that's low 70, high 80 range. Then we see Mount Laguna, 64, so it gets definitely very, very chilly out there. So make sure you do get a nice sweater. And we see Julian apple pie, so it definitely is that weather in that area. Our current temperatures for tonight, we see the coast, we see cool and clear, a low 58. Always nice to have a light sweater, especially for us here in San Diego. The inland valleys, we see about the same temperatures, a low 50s, 53. The mountain areas, we clear and breezy. There are going to be some 9 per mile hour winds, so make sure to be aware of those. And then we get a lower 44 degrees. The desert valleys, also low weathers. Now we're going into our 5-day forecast. Friday, now we experienced today a high 77, low 57. Saturday, high 81. The highest, the warmest day in this weekend, and then we hit that low 57. So make sure you bring that sunscreen if you go out to the beach. Great day. Then Sunday, 73, 55, and then Veterans Day Monday. Make sure you get that 3-day weekend, 70s. So it'll be good temperature. That's all that I have for right now. We get to see that good weather this weekend.
Absolutely. Honestly, this time of year is my favorite time of year. Nice and warm. But all right. So why don't we talk a little bit about Veterans Day? Because, yes. I mean, it's going to be a beautiful, 70 degrees. What do you plan on doing?
I mentioned the Julian pie. Even though it's a little warmer, I'm a huge fan. I will definitely make that drive up there. Hopefully our veteran families here in San Diego, we do have several Navy bases. So it's make sure to thank them if you see them out in the streets, and it's always great for them to have that extra day to celebrate our loved ones.
Absolutely. And, as a person who has extended family in the military, it's amazing to see what they do every day and just kind of the sacrifices they make, because it's not just them, it's their families as well.
I know that. Thank you. Make sure to let them know that we thank them first for their service.
Absolutely.
Well, that's all the time that we have for this edition of Newscene. I'm Yakira Delgadillo.
I'm Ayo Elise, and good night, everyone. Have a wonderful weekend.